So, after talking about Jurassic Park and the rest of the movies, now it's finally time to talk about actual, dumb, fun summer movies. So, I don't know if you guys remember, but a year ago, Inside Out Fan 2001 posted just a post on YouTube talking about how 1987 was a terrible year for movies. And to prove that, he put out 3 movie posters on that post explaining why, those movies being The Garbage Pail Kids, Superman 4, and the movie we're reviewing today, Jaws The Revenge. Now, this made me want to make me review some movies that came out in 1987. This and a couple others that I'll be doing. But I kind of just have to say, Inside Out fan, have you looked at an actual list of films that came out in 1987? Because I'm just going to quickly throw some great stuff that came out that year. So, I don't know how those 3 movies make up a bad year. But, anyway, let's talk about Jaws The Revenge. But, before we talk about Jaws The Revenge, we must, of course, talk about the previous 3 Jaws movies and what my recurring thoughts are. So, Jaws 1, still a classic, good thriller. Has great characters. Roy Scheider as Chief Brody. Richard Dreyfuss as Matt Hooper. Robert Shaw should have gotten a supporting actor award for his performance as Quint. Steven Spielberg should have got some type of directing nomination for this. And John Williams' score definitely deserved to win the Oscar. So it's a great movie. It's perfect. It's about this chief who has to deal with this issue of political corruption, and in these environmental disasters of this shark killing people. And it's amazing. It's a great movie, and it just didn't really need to continue into a big franchise. Because then we get to Jaws 2. I don't intend on reviewing Jaws 2 at all, really, because unlike the last 2, where there's something worth reviewing about them, this one is just kind of a mediocre movie. I mean, it has Roy Scheider's decent. He's the only thing that holds it together. But I just don't like the inclusion of teenagers in it. So I think that's what I like about Jaws, that it's these adults. They're trying to figure out this situation with a shark. And now there's children that he has to save, teenagers on boats. And I just don't think it's fun at all. I mean, I think just because it's the sequel, and if the first one did, then it would make sense, but it just did not. I just don't like the teen aspect of it. And then Jaws 3D. This is definitely the best out of the sequel still. Yeah, it's the worst special effects wise, but to be honest, it's still entertaining, and it has still a fun premise to it about a shark attacking SeaWorld. Shark sneaks into SeaWorld and just messes up things. It's a great idea for a story. I think the only problem is it's too short, and the Brody characters don't need to be in it. So, Universal, just remake Jaws 3D, and everything will be fine. So now, let's get on to Jaws The Revenge.
Jaws The Revenge. This time, it's personal.
So, now this film was solely made just because Howard the Duck was a very, very big bomb for Universal Studios. And they wanted to just pick up old franchises and just continue them, make more sequels like this, and Back to the Future, which would, of course, spoof this movie. But But yeah, Howard the Duck was really bad, so they just decided to make a fourth Jaws movie. Now keep in mind, Jaws 3D was still a big success, even though it was the lowest grossing one. And I don't know if I said this in my 3D review, which was a while ago. It was the highest grossing 3D movie until Spy Kids 3D, which would obviously be topped by Avatar. But it's just this movie was just made for no reason. But here's the thing. This movie is meant to be the conclusion to the Jaws trilogy. Just because of how bad Jaws 3D got critically, and how it didn't besides having the Brody brothers in it, didn't really have anything to do with Amity. So they thought this would be the conclusion, because it's back to Amity, and it has the recurring cast members, which we'll get to. And then it comes out, and now, today in 2022, I have the Jaws 3 movie collection, which is just Jaws 2, Jaws 3D, and Jaws The Revenge. But I explain this again. I always just found it funny that Jaws 2 is put on a separate disc, while Jaws 3D and Jaws 4 are kept together on the same disc, because made two crappy bad movies, so they just put them together. And Universal would rather forget that that those last two movies ever happened. So I'm just gonna get right into Jaws the Revenge. So about returning cast members. Hardly any of them are back in this one. So the biggest one is obviously Lorraine Gray, and as Chief Brody's wife, and and obviously she was always in these movies just because she was related to the head of Universal at the time. So that's why she's like the head of these movies. She was like that's why she's mostly the main lead in this movie. And the other people that come back is that woman who was like a part of the town council. She makes an appearance. Some other like town councilmen actually make quick.
Come from Tiffany's house.
Poor girl, the doctors had to sedate her.
Oh, sweetheart. I didn't recognize you, Thea. You're so grown up.
Uncle Sean is dead, you know. Will he ever come back?
Extra cameo appearances. And also Miss Kittner, the mother of the boy that got killed and slapped Chief Brody in the face. It's just that's a little strange to add in the movie. But someone else who was to do it, Murray Hamilton, the mayor, was supposed to be in it, but then sadly died of cancer, so he could not appear in the big funeral scene. But basically Chief Brody's wife is the main star of this movie. Okay, but nobody really cares, though. She never really was a character. Nobody cared for that much. But she's the main character, and she's living with Sean Brody, who was also the chief deputy, showing because in Jaws 3 he explains that he has a phobia of the water to Leah Thompson, and so now this just showing how Jaws 3D never happened. And so basically he dies in a really terribly edited death scene that was cutting to Christmas carolers, because I feel like I should also explain Jaws The Revenge, though coming out in the summer, and I'm reviewing it in the summer, it's a Christmas movie. I should be reviewing this in Christmas, but I just want to review it for its 30th anniversary. So that's what happens. It takes place during Christmas, and dies in a terrible edited kill. And then this is where Lorraine Gray, I will admit, she is pretty good. I think she won or got nominated for a Saturn Award for this movie. But the thing is that she's not like a high caliber Meryl Streep or Frances McDormand type actress, so she's just not great, and she's just really not good in this movie, and she would retire after this movie. It was a good choice. But then, and also, she did this movie because Michael Caine. But anyway, so Michael Brody, who, and this is a marine biologist working in the Bahamas with a new love interest that does not work at SeaWorld, and they have a daughter. And they actually did ask Dennis Quaid and Bess Armstrong to come back for this movie to reprise, but they all said no, and it's just weird because he was an engineer at SeaWorld in the last movie, so basically just keep remembering that this whole movie is trying to forget Jaws 3 ever happened. And so they arrive to see her, and now Lorraine Gray is going through all these, like, all this whole grief thing, and is trying, and is kind of going crazy all about that the Jaws, the shark wanted revenge, is personal, because that's the whole point. That's why people think it's silly. It's because it's about the shark seeking revenge for the Brody family for, I guess, the death of the other 3 sharks. But really, I think they're always trying to get revenge. Even since the second movie, they've been trying. I think those sharks were always just trying to kill the Brody family. Even in the third one, I think they just knew that one of the Brodys worked at SeaWorld and that the other one was visiting. So on that day, he snuck into SeaWorld. Even though, I'm just, that's my whole theory. They're always looking for revenge. But so then this is the part that's the biggest issue of the film, is that the script is terrible. Like, just look at this scene.
Sharks don't commit murder. They don't pick out a person.
It picked out Sean. It killed your father.
Dad died from a heart attack.
He died from fear. The fear of it killed.
Just such a terrible way to just, like, say that Roy Scheider, he died of the fear of sharks. Like, no context even, like, how he died. Like, was he on a boat? Jesus. It's just a terrible way to write him out, this movie, but he would have died in the first moment, so that would have made it worse. And I think it's fine that he didn't come back anyway, because he really fucking hated making Jaws 2 with that French guy, with that French director. That's a whole different story right there. But, so, I guess I should just say, there's just so many weird moments in the script. Like, at the funeral scene, she's, like, smiling and laughing, and everyone is, like, sad. And no, you shouldn't tell people how to grieve, but it's just, you shouldn't be smiling at a funeral, woman. I'm sorry. Don't do that. It's just a weird scene. And then there's this weird scene with Michael.
Where are you going?
Nowhere!
Again, this is a very weird script. Michael starts running, and he says, nowhere! Oh my god. God, this movie. Alright, so then we get to the part. So then, they all take a trip down to the Bahamas for Christmas. And then we get introduced to the best character of the movie, Michael Caine, as Hoagie, a pilot, and there's also going to be some drug smuggling agents in the original script. Now, you might be wondering, why is Michael Caine in this movie? But you all probably know. He was in it because he wanted to buy a house, or build a house. Whatever that means, whatever. And he also famously missed out winning his Oscar for Hannah and His Sisters for making this movie. But, I mean, he would end up being accept his award for the Cider House Rules. So, I think, so, everything went well at the end. So yeah. And I like his character. You know what? I like Michael Caine in anything. So they arrive there, and she's all ready. Lorraine has a bunch of fears of the water, and doesn't want her granddaughter being in there. But I'm gonna jump right into, now we get to the worst character of the movie, Jake. I hate this freaking fucking character.
Yes, you got him, man. Now would be a good time.
I really don't like this character. He really did not need to be in the movie, and I don't like him. It's just just such a stereotypical Bahama guy with dreadlocks and all that. He is Jar Jar Binks before Jar Jar Binks. So basically, they just collect shells and they make a lot of money off of it. But then all of a sudden, the shark attack. The shark comes and attacks the boat. And then this is another problem with the movie. They go to the Bahamas. Nothing really happens in this movie. I mean, really, not much happens once they get to the Bahamas. Besides that, they're studying the shark, and then doesn't want Michael doesn't want his mom to know, and then there's the whole subplot where Hoagie is in love with Lorraine, which again is the reason why she wanted to do this movie, is because Michael Caine was in love with someone his age, and I will admit, I guess they have decent chemistry, but their acting is just, they're on so much different levels. But back to him, there's not enough shark carnage in this movie, and I guess it is stupid that it followed it all the way over to the Bahamas, because this movie was originally going to have voodoo magic, and it's kind of hinted in this line. And it was going to be some witch doctor that doesn't like Michael, and this is all added. I think it was added in the novelization, but it was mostly obviously from the original draft of the script. But I think it's a little too weird, even though it doesn't really add to the whole strangeness of the shark just following the Brodys from Massachusetts to the Bahamas. But yeah, as you can see, this movie is just this is a very mostly boring movie at points. Whenever the shark is not really around, it's not much is going on. That's one of the issues. I mean, and I guess let's just talk now, because and then there's another weird scene. That, again, the thing is, like, they happen and they go nowhere sometimes. Not like they're subplots, but just weird. And then now let's get to the end where that mostly gets talked about. So I guess there's this whole presentation scene with the mayor of Nassau, Bahama, and because I guess Michael's wife welded something, like a statue, and then the daughter goes on a banana boat, which I've never been on. Looks kind of fun. And then the Jaws tries to kill Thea, to then only kill someone else that was on board. Great job, Jaws. This revenge plan is really working out for you. And then this is actually pretty bad acting. This is screaming. It's terrible. This movie is terrible. And then Lorraine just goes, I'm gonna kill off this shark, and just takes a boat and just goes off. Unprepared. But then Michael and Jake team up with Michael Caine to then fly there, and then to help Lorraine. And then they land, and then Michael Caine almost dies, but then survives, which I'll agree. Okay, you know what? Kind of cool that he survives. It's Michael Caine. It's awesome. And then then Jake used this technological thing to I think draw the shark to them. And then this is the infamous ending that has two endings. The one that is what's on here on my DVD, where the shark just blows up. But from what I believe in the actual theatrical cut and in some TV versions, this is how he dies.
Smile, you son of a bitch!
So let me know in the comments, what Jaws death do you like better? I think the impaling is just better because it makes no sense why he just blows up. Like, it makes sense in Jaws and Jaws 3Ds because he has some type of explosive in him, and that's why he explodes. So this makes no sense, and I forgot to also mention Jacob died, and then he lives again. Because he dies originally, but then test audience was like, no, we want to see Jacob live. Who wanted to see Jacob live? He's such an annoying character. But yeah, anyway, he lives unexpectedly. I mean, remember in the first Jaws how people died and Roy Scheider was like the last man standing? I know Hooper did survive, but the idea of Quint dying showed that, like, there was stakes and all that, you know? It was a deadly shark, you know? And I just don't like that Jacob lived. And then, Lorraine goes back to Amity Island with Hoagie, or maybe goes off with Hoagie. We don't really know where that relationship is going because this is the last movie in the Jaws franchise. And that's it. Ever since then, there has been no other attempt by Universal to make a Jaws movie. But there was Cruel Jaws. Maybe I'll talk about that. I don't know. I don't really care. Because it's not by Universal. It has nothing to do with the other Jaws movies. So, that was Jaws The Revenge. It is the worst Jaws movie, but I don't hate it. I think there are some good stuff. I will admit, some of the acting from Michael Caine and Lorraine Gray is good. I think the cinematography is better. Like, it's a clean-looking movie, and this was somewhat of a technical advancement in cinematography and filming with aspect ratios. And I think, I guess how crappy the effects were in Jaws 3D, I guess you can see why you could just watch Jaws 2 and this, is because at least there's a consistency, like, I guess the shark looks bad, but it's not, I don't think it's terrible. Nothing comes as near as bad as this stuff in Jaws 3D. But it's just overall, it's just kind of this, it's a bland, mediocre messes of a movie. It didn't need to exist. Would I like another Jaws movie? Yeah, I would like a remake of Jaws 3, and I'll see whatever Kevin Smith has to give us with his new Moose Jaws, which I don't know if it's happening or not, because he's working on Clerks 3. But anyway, that's it for Jaws The Revenge, and it for my Jaws reviews. So, thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. There will be more. Expect good stuff from movie reviews from the year of 1987. And I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.